Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys for Friday, April 25th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we are joined today. You saw him for our season preview team videos. He did a few of them for us back in September, and an original member of the Ice Guys show. That's right. Yep. So the people that are wondering, who the hell is this guy? You haven't been around long enough. We're talking about the day one Ice Guys viewers and listeners know who this guy is. When way back in 2017, and I say way back because, yes, 8 years does feel like an eternity ago, wow, that Dana Lane was an original member of this show. And it is great to have Dana Lane with us today here on the show. Dana, how are you?
I'm good, man. I cannot believe it's been 8 years. That just blows my mind because I remember, we used to get up and do a lot of things very early in the morning. At least it was early for me. And
it was the graveyard shift, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. out there for you in the dungeon.
Yeah. I know. And every day I had to roll into my little side office. I was in another house at that point, and I'm like, man, my bed is so close. I can even see the corner of it. And so, I never say no to you guys, unless I really have to. And I don't say yes to very many because a lot of this stuff is so time consuming. But I have so much respect for you and Alex and what we've done over the years. So always glad to be here.
Great to be reunited, and it feels so good. Gotta throw it.
I think you sang that last time.
I know.
Yeah, probably.
People are saying, you're going to that old shtick again. Stop it.
It wasn't great then either.
No. Still not great either. No, it's still not great either. Tell everyone what you've been doing lately. Like, I know you've been I don't know if you're still doing the Vegas hockey shows on the radio, but what have you been up to lately, just work-wise?
Yeah, guys, of course, most people, I guess, know I work for pickdogs.com. I have for a very long time now. I'm one of the originals on that website as well, also in sportscapping.com. And that takes up a lot of time. I actually, once I got deeper into it, I used to do the play-by-play for UNLV hockey. We just won the ACHA national championship. Shout out to Coach Greener. But I had to kind of snip a lot of things. Did local radio here, picked up for Brian Blessing after he unfortunately passed away, and was happy to do that. But really just buried in sports at this point on Pick Dogs because the NHL is always going to be my first love, but you guys know you have the Major League Baseball right now. You just ended college basketball. This is a crazy time of year. And then, you guys will know, correct me if I'm wrong, you get to July and you're like, I got a 15-game baseball schedule. When is the CFL starting? I'm so bored. I got so much time. I'm like, God, it's 2 games in a WNBA. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. CFL coming up. I know people in June. Hey, there's nothing to watch. There's nothing to bet. Well, the CFL saves the summer for me every single year, and it's a gem of a league to bet if you stay on top.
Hey, Ian. I know you love that league, and I have to tell you, I love that league too. But does it drive you insane when you go on, ESPN? And I don't know how they label their website. But sometimes cricket is listed before the WNBA or it's listed before the CFL. I don't know what cricket is. I don't know if the racing bugs or what they're doing. But it drives me absolutely bonkers that in a dead spot. Now we're going to see what happens with ESPN because this is the last year of Major League Baseball. That is going to be a deader spot for them. Are they not going to? Does it not make sense to embrace the CFL? Thankfully, we can get these games now. Thankfully, through a little effort, we can get them. But it shouldn't be a big effort. It should be ESPN embracing this league as a lead-in.
It did for a bit. They had the rights,
did,
and then they
right.
said, we don't want them anymore. Well, CBS Sports Network took it off their
You're
hands.
also talking about a league that on a busy Thursday night in the NHL will show an old UFC match from 5 years ago on ESPN2. So
Yes.
there's that.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
I miss the old kickboxing days on ESPN.
Oh, yeah, I do. Those were great.
Kickboxing and
Yeah.
Australian
Friday
rules
night
football.
fights.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're one step away from some of those ESPN, the Ocho sports ending up on ESPN2 at this point. Wouldn't shock me.
We've already had it. Cornhole.
Yeah, cornhole, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, it's fun to
geez,
play, but
what
I don't
is-
need to
I
sit there
know.
and watch it, quite honestly. It's fun to play in the summer during a barbecue when you're together with friends and that, but yeah, it's not something I'd flock to the TV set.
I would enjoy a pre and post game cornhole show. So I'm just saying, the cornhole prime time. I think it's coming.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's the new hot thing coming up in sports, national television. Stay tuned for that. With what I'm seeing, unfortunately, out of the NHL ratings, they may be battling cornhole for ratings pretty soon. I mean, I was very alarmed by the ratings over Easter weekend for some of those NHL games, especially when the NBA actually did okay over Easter weekend. So that's concerning, but that's okay. The people that love hockey will find it, and it
doesn't help when you have games like Tampa Bay, Florida yesterday.
That's not going to help the ratings. And
that's help at all.
We will begin with the recap of yesterday. This is a series we all thought was going to be one of the best series in the first round. And unfortunately, it's definitely been underwhelming when you look at it. I mean, you look at Tampa, Florida game 1, Florida dominated. They ended up winning going away 6-2. Not a whole lot of drama down the stretch of that game. They took the early lead. It was a great performance. And then yesterday, it's not that Tampa was bad, but they just got suffocated. That was basically 60 minutes of asphyxiation being applied by the Florida Panthers on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Just choked them out. Defensively, just phenomenal. Looking a lot like that Florida team defense we saw in the run to the Stanley Cup last year. What's impressive to me, guys, about the 2-0 series lead is that the blue line to me is not nearly as deep as it was last year because they lost Montour. Ekblad hasn't played yet in this series. A couple other pieces from last year's D missing, but still everyone's collectively stepped up. I can't say enough about Gustav Forsling. It's been phenomenal. The rock of that Florida blue line right now, and everybody else has played well. Mikola's played well. And you go on down the list. They've gotten good minutes out of Nate Schmidt, the veteran who gets the big first goal for Florida. Last night. It's just been a collective effort. They have not missed Montour. They have not missed an injured Aaron Ekblad. They've been phenomenal on the back end. And we know with all 4 lines, they play 2 ways of the ice. And you've got Sergei Bobrovsky back there doing his regular thing. So it's been tough sledding. Tampa had their chances, power play opportunities, but we're not able to capitalize on them. And Florida takes a 2-0 series lead. It looks like it's deep trouble for Tampa because at home is where they've been at their best. They've been a mediocre road team, but then the Hagel incident, plowing Alexander Barkov into the boards, 5-minute interference call for that, and getting a hearing, it looks like, with NHL player safety today. So there could be some supplemental discipline as well doled out to Brandon Hagel. That's the last thing they need. But for Florida, even though they're up 2-0, obviously of utmost concern is the status of their captain, Alexander Barkov, and one of the best two-way players in the league. So interesting to see how that plays out. Battle of Ontario. Toronto gets the win over Ottawa. In overtime, they take a commanding 3-0 series lead. Again, Ottawa didn't play that bad. Winnable game, had chances. It's not like they've been dominated by Toronto, but Toronto's had a little bit better goaltending, and the special teams continues to dominate for the Leafs. The power play's been unstoppable. Ottawa's special teams hasn't been as good, and that's the difference. Stolarz has been a little bit better than Allmark so far in that series. And Simon Benoit, that's what we love about the playoffs, guys. The unlikeliest of heroes steps up. Simon Benoit with an overtime winner. He said that's the biggest goal he scored, he said, since Pee Wee hockey in his post-game press conference last night. But, another night where Matthews, Marner, some of the big guns chip in offensively after not doing much in the failures of the past in the playoffs. So it looks like a Toronto team that, as we've said, they look ready to take a step this year. And now they are one win away from sweeping the Battle of Ontario and the Ottawa Senators and probably have a decent chance to do it. And then we had the late games. How about and we'll get Dana's thoughts specifically because he's right there in the middle of it. The Vegas Golden Knights have had zero answer for Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy. And that is losing them this series right now, essentially. Now down 2-1, a 5-2 Minnesota win last night over the Vegas Golden Knights. Another night where Kaprizov has a multi-point game for the Wild. Another night, too, where Matt Boldy gets on the scoreboard for the Wild with another goal and an assist, multi-point game for him. I mean, that's where they're getting killed in this series. I mean, the one line you've got to take care of for the Minnesota Wild, Vegas is not doing a good enough job of that. And that's 2 games in a row where it's been the Kaprizov and Boldy line getting it done. And Minnesota now up 2-1 in that series with a 5-2 win over the Vegas Golden Knights. Very interesting that Bruce Cassidy in the third period decides let's give Adin Hill a break after giving up the 4 goals and put Akira Schmid in net in the third period. I don't think that's a sign of anything other than just give Hill a rest. I think it's right back to Adin Hill in Game 4. And credit to Gustafsson. We were on the betcast last night just saying, oh, God, Gustafsson, that's a horrible goal to allow to Alex Pietrangelo in that first period. But after that, he played very well. And then the late game, what we saw last night, St. Louis onslaught. And, boy, is it ever nice to cash a best bet on this show in the first minute of the game. And, yes, the best bet was St. Louis to score a goal in the first period, minus 130, and we had to wait all but, 50 seconds for that to come through last night. So that was great to see that. We had the Blues money line, took a little shot with the over. That was the game that kept the night together for me because it was kind of not the greatest night overall until that last game of the night with Winnipeg and St. Louis. But that was a great result. I figured St. Louis would throw their best at Winnipeg. And Alex will bring it up, I'm sure, when he talks on the recap in a moment, that Connor Hellebuck, the road issues continue for him. Yes, he was very good in Winnipeg the first 2 games, but there's a growing pattern now of these games where he's given up 3 goals, 4 goals, 5 goals on the road in the postseason. And it continued last night with the game in St. Louis. And dating back to the regular season, that's now 13 straight home wins for the St. Louis Blues. Remember how great they played there down the stretch just to get into the playoffs. Buchnevich had a huge game, obviously, with the hat trick. Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, everybody stepped up collectively for the Blues. They're big, the players they count on offensively got it done for them. And like I said, you could tell they threw 30 hits, by the way, at St. Louis in the first period. That tells you all you need to know. They were ready to dig deep, down 2-0, and bring an all-out effort, and they did that, rolling past the Winnipeg Jets last night, 7-2, to make that series 2-1 in favor of Winnipeg. Alex, your thoughts on last night's, and we thank everyone for joining us on the betcast as well. That was a lot of fun as always. But Alex, your thoughts on last night?
Yeah, it was, wasn't the most exciting of nights for the playoffs as compared to what we've seen heading in to the betcast last night. It was, like I said, I've watched playoff hockey going all the way back to 1994. I don't remember ever seeing a playoff game with as less energy and enthusiasm from both sides that I saw from Florida Tampa Bay last night. You look at the shot chart map for both teams, and it looks like, Stevie Wonder playing darts, shots coming from all over the place, nothing in line, nothing of a pattern, nothing of any semblance. The game felt like it was something we were watching in mid-November, mid-December, kind of play out the string. This did not look like 2 teams who were rivals, who just played, and this would be the 3rd playoff series they've had in this decade, where we've seen one of these 2 teams represent the East in 5 of the last 6 years. In the Cup final, didn't look like that at all from either team. Now Florida got the win, which that's great for them moving forward, but they have to play a better game too. They can't look at that as a win as far as from a locker room side. Paul Maurice should not be treating them and whatever you do during a win, it should not be the same kind of mode. You should be in that we lost that game and Tampa Bay just couldn't find a way to get the victory. That's the way you have to look at it. It was that bad of a hockey game, in my opinion. And Florida definitely has to kind of keep things moving in the right direction as far as winning goes, but they have to bring more energy than that, especially being back home. And maybe that's will be what kind of cures them. But I don't know what's going to happen with Tampa. Now going on the road, you had the energy and atmosphere in Game 1 and even early in Game 2, and you just couldn't do anything with it. And now it's starting to seem like when we talk about this with teams of yore, where when they have that run kind of come to a close, when that window starts to really shut, they have moments in playoffs where they just look like, they've kind of just ran out of steam. Think about the 2017 Blackhawks, how they got swept by Nashville. They ran out of steam. because of all those years. Look at Pittsburgh, those last couple of playoff exits. They ran out of steam, the key guys. I think this Tampa Bay team might be heading in that direction. So I'll be looking at Florida small in game 3 and stuff, but this looks like the series is all but over in a way. I don't see where Tampa comes roaring back and making this the 6-game, 7-game series we all thought it and hoped to be. Then you have the Wild and Vegas game, which, like I said, I definitely want to hear what Dan has to say about Vegas, but we have to give the Wild a ton of credit. This is the best Wild performance we've seen in the playoffs over these last 3 games, and I can't remember when. And even in the loss in game 1, that wasn't a bad game. That was just a tight game. They couldn't find the victory. That's all. But game 2, game 3, and they were able to carry that momentum from the road in game 2, bring that home, and keep it right on moving in game 3. But on Vegas's end, I don't understand. How in the world do you not fucking hit number 12 and 97? Matt Boldy, the second goal he scores, he literally moonwalks backwards between 2 defenders and gets a clean shot off on Hill and scores. Like, how do you let that happen?
You're saying he Michael Jackson, the Vegas defense? Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. And how do you let that happen is beyond me when you're already trailing in the game and these guys have already been carving you up for the last 7-8 periods. It's absolutely asinine. Vegas has to start hitting these guys, start taking the body to them, and in an efficient way. You can't obviously give up penalties. You can't get reckless with it. But you got to start at least getting these guys off of their game. Otherwise, you're going to be going home. It's plain and simple.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that's 100% true. They got to make some adjustments. They just got to and stop taking penalties. You gave Minnesota just too many power play opportunities as well if you're at Vegas. And that's a great point you made about Tampa. And these teams that have been playoff teams for what? Now, how many years in a row has Tampa Bay been in the playoffs? It feels like 10 or 11 or 12.
10 years.
It could be that many. Yeah. That many. And you're right. We saw the end of the great Chicago run of consecutive playoff years, and they petered out at the end and just went away quietly in the first round, like Chicago versus Nashville, like Pittsburgh the last few times they were in the playoffs with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang after a great run of consecutive playoff years. Those last 2, weren't they bounced early? Feels like it in the first round. Right. And here we go now with Tampa. That's an excellent point. There's a little pattern developing that maybe you just run out of gas, and all those playoff years and all the miles on the body add up when you're playing that many years in a row in the postseason. Dana, fascinated to hear your thoughts on last night, especially that Vegas team.
Yeah, I mean, you asked me before the show started, is there any panic in Vegas? And of course, there's no panic in Vegas. I mean, they've been in this position before. When you have that ring around your finger, you know what it takes to get to the end goal. And yeah, you don't want to be down 2-0, but you know what, or 2-1. But you know what, the Dallas Stars didn't want to be down 2-0 to Vegas last year either after losing those first 2 games at home. So, listen, from a gambling standpoint, I was watching these games last night and just thinking to myself, boy, I'll tell you, Winnipeg losing to St. Louis, not only losing, but in the manner, or in game 3, in the manner in which they lost, I thought to myself, this is a perfect example where I preach that you cannot take what you just saw, meaning the last game, the regular season, head-to-head, you can't take what you just saw and apply it to what's coming up. You can't take numbers, because numbers only tell you where you've been. They'll never tell you where you're going. I preach that all the time. So, hey, look, every game is a separate entity. Yes, there is some sort of residue remaining from the previous game, but the incredible adjustment that the St. Louis Blues made to, basically take arguably the top team in the NHL behind the woodshed and, beat them 7-2. I mean, that it's very important that we don't get hyped up about what we just saw, because we know, Vegas is going to make adjustments as well. Now, the one thing I think is, hey, look, Vegas is, I think they're 1 or 2 in the league in penalty minutes, and not on, not in abundance, a lack thereof. So how much time are they really spending on the penalty kill? I know I've seen them personally, work on it at practice, but, Kaprizov and that power play goal, the first power play goal, man, he used his feet so much. And I thought that was so indicative of where the Golden Knights were for most of the night, even on the Pietrangelo goal, which, basically was a thank you goal with plenty of space on a 4-on-4. I just thought, wow, this team is not moving their feet. This team is not fast. They're not getting to the open areas. I thought that they played very timid last night. And, guys, you cannot, and I don't, we could talk about depth all we want. We could talk about, the blue line and playing well in front of your goaltender. But no, first and foremost, your superstars have to be superstars. And right now, Jack Eichel is not their superstar. You cannot average less than 2 shots a game. You cannot be a -5. You have to be the superstar on the ice for your team. Every team, I mean, this, Alex. I mean, the Chicago Blackhawks have had a lot of success because they've had superstars, but in addition to their depth, they just couldn't win without that incredible top line. And if you look when Jack Eichel is not going well, I don't look at that Vegas Golden Knights top line and think to myself, wow, that's really dangerous. I think you have a lot of guys that are very good in that top 3 and top 6 and maybe even top 9, but nothing that like, oh, wow, you really like you've got to watch out for the Ovechkin line or you got to watch out for the Kaprizov line. I mean, I just when Jack is not the man on the ice, I think I kind of look around and go, okay, like who's going to be the star tonight? And I think in some cases that
it's like they're looking around and saying, well, Jack, let's go.
Yeah.
And they're waiting on him to do something.
It's the inverse. It's the inverse of 2 teams, right? Because you have Minnesota, who's playing the anti-playoff system, right? They're top heavy as all can be, and if you could stop 12 and 97, you could probably take the whole team out. Where in the inverse, you got a bunch of second and third liners for Vegas right now. No one's stepping up, and like I said, no one's the man right now. They're all playing, waiting for somebody else to step up. And
not wearing the shirt today, but there it is. There we go. Can't find him with a telescope. That's been Jack Eichel the last few games. Can't find him with a telescope, as I said on Twitter.
Yeah, and we know that the Knights have to be better defensively as well. I mean, that just means better puck movement. If Minnesota is going to be the aggressor, we've seen this. I mean, you guys have watched enough hockey to know, hey, look, if you're going to have one team that's more physical over the other, then the way to beat your physicality is to move the puck quick. And that is just not something that, for example, McNabb and Theodore, 2 guys that are used to doing that and have done it for years extremely well for this team, just have not done that in this series so far. Now, do I think Vegas is to play in Game 4? I mean, do I want to lay $1.50? No, I probably don't. But I think Vegas is to play here. If they're not, I'm going to take. I remember doing something on VSiN a couple of weeks ago, and I told the host, I said, and correct me, I mean, you've seen them, Alex, at the end. I said, boy, this Minnesota team, and this was prior to their, this is prior to the last couple of games. I just thought, man, where's the guts going to come from? Where are the guts of this team? Because I felt like they were backing into the postseason. They were losing games they shouldn't lose. And I thought, man, when you're playing a team with some guts, how are you going to match up? And it was almost like they were, playing possum because right now, and as you said, even in the Vegas win, I thought there were times where Minnesota was the better team.
Yep, exactly. I thought game 1 they played solid. Good point. Yeah, I agree.
We've seen over the years, going back, I referenced it a couple of shows ago, when Vegas, that game 1 against Winnipeg in 2022 in the first round, where they lost 5-1 and it looked like they were skating, like the ice had melted completely the way they were skating for most of that game. And as they got through the postseason that year, their speed increased. When Vegas isn't playing fast, and like I said, this isn't their fastest lineup. So when they're not playing fast, that really kind of disrupts the chemistry. And now you have this Wild team, because they're fully healthy. They're playing as faster than anybody right now. So that's a huge thing as well. They've been able to kind of outskate teams and outskate their problems for so long. They're not going to be able to do that in the series moving forward. They haven't done it already.
No. And they got to contain Kaprizov and Boldy. That's where start back to win this series begins for the Vegas Golden Knights. It's really that simple. And they need Eichel to get moving and not be the telescope man, as I like to say. because that's exactly what we have seen here these first few games. No question about that. All right, great recap, great breakdowns. Let's turn our attention now to the 3 games we got tonight on this Friday NHL slate. We will begin with the Washington Capitals taking on the Montreal Canadiens. And this does not feel like a 2-0 Washington series, even though Washington does have a 2-0 series lead. The Capitals minus 120 road favorites at Bell Center, 5.5 the total. Washington winning game 1, but Montreal battling back, tying at 2-2. They lose in overtime. Alex Ovechkin gets the game winner, but they got better as that game went on, and Montreal was just all over Washington in the third period of that game. And it was almost like a carbon copy in game 2. Washington was definitely the better team early. I mean, the shots were 26-10 in favor of the Capitals. At one point in game 2, in the second period, they built themselves a 2-1 lead. Samuel Montembeault was terrific in the first 2 periods the other night to give Montreal a chance in that game. And then the third period rolled around, and I don't know what it is, the young, vibrant Montreal Canadiens team that just the legs, are still there in the third period, but that's another great third period they had. Logan Thompson had to be Dominic Hasek-like for much of that third period. Some of the saves he made were just spectacular. And eventually, of course, we got Washington scrambling. Montreal does eventually get the tying goal in the third period there. But they had all kinds of chances to do so, and then put away into the empty net by Connor McMichael for the 3-1 win there in game 2. But they were this close to tying it in game 2, the Montreal Canadiens in that third period. So they're down 2-0, but it's kind of like with Ottawa, and it didn't matter for Ottawa. They lost again, in game 3 to Toronto. But Ottawa in game 2 felt like they played well enough to win, and Ottawa probably felt last night at times they played well enough to win. Montreal's going to feel like we played well enough to win both games, but here we are down 2-0. But the fact they were in both games, I think, serves them well to have a big effort tonight. And you can't underestimate the first home playoff game, this being for the Montreal Canadiens at the Bell Center. I mean, that's a venue that they're going to be going crazy. I know it, because when Montreal is playing meaningful hockey in that building, the crowd is absolutely bonkers, and the volume level is through the roof. The decibel level will be off the chart, especially when they take the ice tonight prior to puck drop for game 3. So the one thing and the Montreal has not had is they have not had great starts in game 1 or game 2 against Washington. That's going to have to change tonight, and I get the feeling it will. Just based on how much enthusiasm the crowd's going to bring them, the energy that the crowd's going to bring them. And again, like I said with the Habs, there's a couple of things that have hurt them in this series. Some key defensive breakdowns, like the Strome goal, which ended up being the game winner. It was just a bad line change, and everyone caught out of position for Montreal, leading to that Dylan Strome goal. Maybe a little playoff inexperience from a coaching standpoint. And our pal Jimmy Murphy was all over this in game 1 when they lost in overtime. How the hell does Marty St. Louis allow Patrick Laine and a 5 games into his NHL career, Ivan Demidov, how does he allow them to be on the ice for a key defensive zone faceoff in that overtime? And sure enough, with Ovechkin on the ice, and sure enough, back of the net, game over. Washington won. So a little bit of a coaching blunder there from Marty St. Louis, who's done a great job with this team overall. We're not taking that away from him, but we're saying in that moment, can't have Patrick Laine on the ice when he's done jack squat in this series. Jack shit from Laine. He doesn't win puck battles. He's losing puck battles. He doesn't try hard enough away from the puck, in my opinion, work hard enough away from the puck, in my opinion. And then the one thing he can do is shoot the puck. And guess what? He was missing the net like 8 times the other night in game 2 with that shot. So I said this on Twitter the other day, and I truly believe it. If Patrick Laine is not scoring, he adds nothing to the hockey team. Nothing. And so that was a bad blunder by St. Louis to have him out there in that overtime of game 1. So, but now he gets last line change, which is critical. You're going to get Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Suzuki, that top line up in the matchup you want. And we have seen Montreal get Washington running around in Washington when Spencer Carberry's been able to dictate matchup advantages with the last line change. Now Marty's going to have that opportunity. I'm going to go back to the well with a bet that I've made a lot for the team that lost the previous game in these playoffs. We're going to take Montreal. We're going to lay a little juice here, minus 155, but Montreal goal in the first period. which is cashed more often than not for the team that lost the previous game of the series. And I don't make bets to push. So with the first period money line, you could get it around even money. I bet to win. And, I'm going to go for the -0.5 with Montreal. First period puck line, which you can get around +200, as high as +200 in some books right now. I think it's going to be a flying start for the Habs here. Goal in the first period puck line, Montreal as well. I'm going to take them full game 2 to win and get back in the series, but I like the first period looks in particular more in this game. But I'm also going to dabble smaller on the full game looks, which would for me are money line around the +100, -105 price right now, and a Montreal team total here in this game over 2.5 at -140. The best price out there right now with that. I just think this is the spot. It's kind of like the way I felt about Winnipeg at St. Louis in Game 3 last night is kind of the way I feel about this. I think Montreal just comes out just jolting Washington early, and it propels them to a victory here on home ice. Alex, what do you think here? Game 3, Washington, Montreal.
Yeah, we saw it, like you said, with St. Louis last. I almost said San Jose. We saw it with St. Louis last night.
We haven't seen it with them, Alex.
Yeah, we haven't seen
it with San Jose in a very, very long time. Yeah, but we saw it with San Jose. See, I almost did it again. St. Louis and Minnesota last night. Both those teams at home using that momentum and crowd to their advantage and taking off and running. I leaned with that heading into this series with Montreal. I said Game 3, this is going to be a huge spot. First time in 8 years, actually 8 years and 5 days, the last time they played a game, playoff game at the Bell Center was Game 5 against the Rangers. And you're going to have that emotion and that crowd just rocking and rolling. I love Montreal to score the first goal in the first period, +135, the same bet that I had with both those contests last night. And also we'll be looking, that's FanDuel, right? FanDuel option for that. And also I have correct score in the first period, Habs to lead 1-0, 5-1, and a 1-1 tie +550. And I'm basing that on two things. I could see two scenarios. Montreal comes out hot, they get the goal, things kind of settle down, and we see adjustment in the second period, or we could see the Capitals score late, which that's what I'll be looking for. Should we get Montreal first period, first goal, I will be looking live for Capitals next goal. But I could see where the Caps try and, like I said, it's a veteran group. They can try and take some of the steam out of that crowd by getting the goal late before heading into the locker room. That'll be the deciding. That could decide the whole game moving forward. So that's the way I'm playing this. Is a live look kind of setup. But I'm on Montreal to score the first goal in the first period, +135 at FanDuel. And then I will be on correct score, 1-0 Montreal, +500, 1-1 tie, +550. And then we'll be looking for possibly playing Caps to score after that Habs goal in the first.
There we go. I like it. Definitely a nice, and that's the thing we talk about with the playoffs that's different from the regular season is because these are the same teams playing each other game to game. Have a game script in mind, have a game flow in mind, and have a betting process in mind of how you're going to attack each individual game. Very important, in my opinion, for success with Stanley Cup playoff betting, no doubt. Dana, what do you think here? Game 3, Caps and Habs.
Yeah, I'm right along with you guys. You guys have made some great points. And Montreal does have to come out quick. I'm very interested to see, will they take a physical standpoint or physical a mentality into this game? Will they get caught up in the crowd, which could very well lead to a Washington goal even early? I would think. I love both of your plays, Alex, but for me, I'm going to go over this total of 5.5. I think along the lines of you, I think we're going to get at least 2 in that first period, which obviously will get us on our way. You talk about Carberry and the coaching job that he has done. We have to give him a lot of credit for putting Logan Thompson in net to begin with. I mean, he hadn't played in almost 3 weeks, and to just start him cold without a game under his belt, to really say, hey, look, I mean, this is going to be your team. I mean, that took some thinking as well. And if you watch this series, there were how many high danger area chances did Montreal get that Logan Thompson made stops on that maybe you think about maybe Lindgren wouldn't have done that, and this would have been a much different series. I am very interested to see how Montreal attacks this game. I give Tom Wilson, and this is not very often, I give him a ton of credit because we know that Josh Anderson wanted to go with him, and Tom Wilson just said, look, there's no need to do this. I'm not trying to energize my team, who is already better on paper than your team at this point. There's no need for me to get into a fight with you, because me coming off the ice is a lot different than Anderson coming off the ice. And I would love to see the Montreal lineup tonight as well, because I know that Jackeye was on the ice. Arbor Jackeye was on the ice. A guy that his only function is to come up and create.
Apparently
chaos.
He's still out. Doesn't look like Marty St. Louis putting him back in. It's still Jaden Struble and David Savard on that third pair. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would be, if he was going to play tonight, you would have to make that decision whether or not Struble or Savard was going to come out of the lineup. I don't know what that to me is telling me exactly how St. Louis is looking at this series. And that also was telling me, hey, look, I don't have to go to the physicality right now, because I think we can go toe to toe with the Caps. Listen, I think Washington is probably the better team in this. I am going to go with the over in this, but to your point too, Ian, Montreal has to start out well. I mean, if there was any other handicapping tool to take out of the NHL playoffs, is the teams that get the early lead. They usually do well and have done well historically. But Montreal typically is not a team that comes out and plays well in the first 20 minutes. They were 17th in the NHL this year in first period goals. Washington was second or third in the league.
Jonathan Davis kept mentioning that all year in our
right.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that is a massive. The first 20 minutes of this game is massive, and if Washington somehow takes this lead into the first 20 minutes, I think it's going to be very difficult, because you have to overcome. And you guys know the Bell Center is going to be absolutely on fire tonight.
Right. Yep.
You talk about San Jose. It's been a while for them as well, outside of the COVID thing, but. The fact of the matter is that I think the over is the play. And if I think the over is the play, I like your plays as well. I cannot see a scenario where this is going to be anything other than a fast-paced hockey game. And even if I don't cash that over 5.5, I feel really good about the amount of chances I'm going to have to cash that over 5.5.
Yeah, the pace should go up. And sometimes it didn't happen last night, where we saw the two overs in Vegas, Minnesota in Vegas. Sometimes when the venue shifts to game 3 and the first two games in the first venue go over, it'll go to an under in game 3. We didn't see that. It was another over last night. So 3 overs in that series, which I don't think I expected, quite honestly. But often when you have 2 unders like we had in Washington, sometimes I will look for it to flip when they change venues and in game 3 and it goes over. I could see that at 5.5. I think it will be a faster paced game as well. Yep.
If I wasn't playing the live bet this game, I would probably go with the BetMGM parlay connect of Capitals and over 4.5. You can get plus 150 with that pregame. Yeah.
I think it's a Logan Thompson over saves kind of game. I think that's worth a shot, quite honestly, because I could see certainly them ramping it up here a little bit as far as the shot volume.
Only thing scary about that. Yeah. Only thing scary about that, and somebody mentioned this yesterday, and you can see where should Montreal get out to a 3-0, 4-0 lead, they'll probably just pull Thompson. So that's the one thing you might be worried about, because it's like 2-0. All right, you this game's a wash. You're down 2-1. Pull him and let him get the rest and get ready for game 4. So that's the one caveat I'd maybe say with an oversave.
Correct. That's always what you're fearful of. And as far as props for this game, Dylan Strome, I mean, either you take goal and an assist, he's probably going to hit 1 for you at least. He's just been phenomenal. 5 straight games with a point for him. 4 straight games with a point for Tom Wilson. And Tom Wilson's point prop still only minus 115. So, goal or an assist prop for him. Believe it or not, Beauvillier has back-to-back games with a point on that top line for the Caps with Strome and Ovechkin. So, Anthony Beauvillier, plus 170 to get a point. PLD is definitely someone I'm interested in. Back in Quebec, obviously. in Montreal here playing for the Caps. Does PLD rise up, make an impact tonight? I could see that. And then as far as Montreal, Slavkovsky, Caulfield, Suzuki are going to get the good matchups. Josh Anderson's someone that's been noticeable here in the first two games, so maybe you look at a prop involving him. Alex Newhook's had a million chances. I keep thinking, gosh, it's got to go in for him at some point, but I'm almost scared to bet him to score a goal until I actually see it go in for him. But he's had just a bunch of chances and snake bit right now. And some of the best props for shots on goal are probably Tom Wilson for Washington. 5 straight, he's gone over 1.5. And Uri Slavkovsky for Montreal. 5 straight where he's gone over 1.5. And if I'm not mistaken, his shot prop is 1.5. It stayed at 1.5. And he's cashed that in 5 straight games. And yet in the first 2 games of this series, he's had 9 shots. 4 in game 1, 5 in game 2. Could be a ladder opportunity where you take not just Slavkovsky over 1.5 shots on goal, ladder him to 3+ shots on goal, 4+ shots on goal, because he's had 4 and 5, in the first 2 games. So that might be worth a look here as well in this one. All right, Carolina and New Jersey. We've got Carolina minus 170, road favorites. The total here, 5.5 across the board. Carolina up 2-0 in this series. I thought New Jersey played better in game 2 than game 1, even though in game 2 they were without 2 of their better defensemen, in Brendan Dillon and Luke Hughes. Go figure. But I thought they hung in there pretty much and gave themselves a chance. But offense again shut down by the Carolina Hurricanes in that game. We'll see if they can get that rolling now back home, where again Keefe now has the opportunity to at least try to get better matchup situations for him going into this game. Now, there was some talk this morning, and according to a couple of the beat reporters here for the Devils, Jonas Siegenthaler, we've talked about this guy. He has been missing since, I would say, February. I think February is the last time Jonas Siegenthaler played for the New Jersey Devils. He is one of their better shutdown defensemen. He hasn't played since February, but there's talk he might be back tonight for the Devils and make his return. Sheldon Keefe was saying he's feeling good. He was skating well and did say he was optimistic that Siegenthaler would play. Now, likely reduced minutes, like a load management type deal for him. If he plays, might be less minutes, but there's a chance Siegenthaler plays. And if they even think he's 80% ready, they'll put him in because of the situation they've got on their hands with Brendan Dillon still out and Luke Hughes still out on that blue line. So Siegenthaler would probably replace Dennis Cholowski and play with Simon Nemec. And, of course, you got Dumoulin, Kovacevic, Hamilton, and Pesce still on that New Jersey blue line. But, again, they just have to find a way to start scoring some goals. You're not going to win many games, New Jersey, in this series, scoring 1 and being outscored 7-2, in the first 2 games of this series. Again, it was a better performance from New Jersey, but again, the offense is missing for them right now. We'll see if the home ice does change things. I went back and looked because Carolina's been in this spot a lot in the Rod Brind'Amour era, where they take a commanding 2-0 series lead at home. How do they fare in the game 3 on the road? Well, last year, actually in game 3, they won against the New York Islanders in the first round after winning game. So they did take a 3-0 series lead that year. But the year before against the Islanders in that first round series, they were up 2-0, and then they lost game 3, 5-1. And then in the second round against this same New Jersey team, remember, they met in the playoffs 2 years ago in the second round. Carolina won the first 2 games at home, and then they got trampled by New Jersey 8-4 in that game 3 in New Jersey. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen again. Obviously, Kochetkov and Vanacek were the goalies, by the way, in that 8-4 New Jersey win. But I remember New Jersey just 3 goals in the opening period of that game and just jumped on the Carolina Hurricanes right away. So I'm taking New Jersey to score in the first. I think that's what I feel best about. It's a reasonable price compared to some of the others we've seen. You can get New Jersey to get a first period goal in this game at a much more reasonable price, around minus 115 or so with that, which is a really good price. So I like the Devils to get a goal in the first period. I cashed with this same bet in game 2 in Carolina, and it was the only goal they got, but they got it very early in the game off the loss in game 1. So I will take that again. New Jersey goal in the first period, -115. I don't think I can get there with New Jersey to win the game, though. I don't fully trust them with their defense in flux, with the offense struggling for the duration of the 60 minutes in the first two games. And the one thing Carolina can do is shut you down when they have the lead. And I wasn't so sure about that because one of their key defensive-minded blue liners is now with New Jersey, Brett Pesce. And when they lost him, I'm like, I don't know if this blue line's still as strong. And you've got guys like Gostisbehere, who's not always great defensively, among others. And there's some more. Sean Walker's pretty solid, but he's more of a puck mover. But I'll tell you what, Slavin, Burns, Orlov, Chatfield, Gostisbehere, Walker, that collective, they've still played really, really strong team defense. And I thought they were a little weaker as far as playing the shutdown game, that particular blue line for Carolina this year compared to years past. But so give them credit for that. But I do like New Jersey to get on the board in the first bit. I really don't love a lot other than that in this game. This is definitely more of a let's see how it goes during the course of the game live. We'll get involved in something, but that's what I like most, once again, is New Jersey goal in the first period, -115. Alex, what do you think here? Hurricanes, Devils.
This is the first time all postseason, but I'm pretty much copy-pasting what I did from the last game. I'm going with New Jersey to score in the first period. I got -120 at DraftKings. I'll go first period over 1.5, -$1.10 at FanDuel, and then both teams to score +190. Like I said, we had chances with Carolina that could have easily been a 1-1 game after 20.
That's
we
right.
cashed all three of those. So I'll just run back with that. I have Carolina now +290 to sweep 4-0. It would not shock me one bit if Carolina goes on win this game and win on Sunday as well. Like I said, New Jersey's just been kind of discombobulated. Getting Siegenthaler back, like I said, that could be a help. But if he's not playing at full speed, or if he doesn't come back, then that blue line is just still as susceptible as ever. So wouldn't shock me. Carolina team total live, because 3.5 at +125, +130, that's decent. I just could also see this being maybe a 3-1 game potentially, and then that way I get don't want to get burned. So I'll try and grab a 2.5 in game. But like I said, just looking off first period, looks Devils to score in the first, both teams to score in the first, and first period over.
To me, Jacob Markstrom's not been a problem in this series. I know he had his issues in the second half of the season, but I thought in game one, they're only sniffing around, still being within reach of Carolina because of Jacob Markstrom. Because the shots at one point in game one were like 35-7, 35-8 in favor of Carolina, or 25-8, I should say. They were just really all over New Jersey. New Jersey did play better. Like, they outshot Carolina in the first period, and even with the short-handed blue line, they hung in there, they battled. But again, it's hard with this short-handed blue line, and it's hard when your power play is not producing, and it's hard for them to generate sustained chances in offense. Because, look, this goes back to Jack Hughes being out. They have not been that same offensive hockey team without him. He's such a driver of the offense for this team. He drives so much of what they do offensively, and you see it with his absence. Dana, what do you think here, Carolina, New Jersey?
Do you guys remember back in September where we were doing season previews and we looked at the New Jersey Devils future odds and we were like, what is going on? And I thought, man, this is going to be interesting because maybe we'll look back and say, wow, they knew. But it was
too much love. It was ridiculous. What were they, co-favorites or right up there?
Incredible, like top five for sure.
Yeah.
So, but going into this game, guys, look, you used the word suffocation or something like that earlier on, Ian, and I think that's what we're going to see here. I mean, the one advantage that New Jersey had in this game or in this series potentially could have been on special teams, but that has certainly not been an advantage in this series at all. And of course, what did they call up 6 guys from Utica the other day? And that's telling me, man, there is zero depth going on here. And certainly, there's bodies, but there's a difference between bodies and having playoff depth. And I just don't think New Jersey has it. In fact, I think Carolina is going to get out to an early lead. If they do, it is lights out because they are going to make it very difficult for New Jersey to get anything in the middle of the ice. They're going to keep them a perimeter team. And of course, at that point, the game's over at this point. But I do know, just like we talked about before, you got to win a game on the road. But I just don't see a scenario where New Jersey not only comes back and wins the series, but I mean, tonight, I think we're going to go under 5.5. I just don't think Jersey's going to give us enough to push this game over the total. And we know Carolina's been not only good on the penalty kill, but I mean, they've been really good 5-on-5. I don't know how you all of a sudden make an adjustment and become better than Carolina at 5-on-5. Now, we do know this, and you talked about home ice advantage. I think you go back 4 years against the Boston Bruins in that first round where Carolina looked unbeatable at home. Like no team could win a road game. So maybe we'll get some of that here, but those were two good teams with a lot of depth. You could even argue that both teams would go 3 lines deep, and that's just not this scenario here. I just don't think New Jersey has the horses. And man, you talk about defensive pairings. Carolina right now with Slavin and Burns. I think about Burns potentially being in a Vegas uniform because that was such a hot topic for a long time. You have to give Jordan Staal and Martinook a lot of credit on that first line penalty kill. Aho and Jarvis, but sensational on that second line. So the only point and the reason why I bring that up is, maybe with special teams being such a key contributor to momentum in a game, maybe New Jersey gets an early power play goal and maybe they see some sort of momentum with that. But I just think Carolina's been so good defensively that I just don't see New Jersey doing enough to push this game over the total. And if Carolina, if we want to move forward and just assume that they're going to win this series, if they can move into the middle of the pack in the power play, which is something that probably they want to be a lot better at in this series, if they can move to the middle of the pack, they are going to be absolutely dangerous moving forward in the postseason. But and you talk about depth. I mean, you have to admit probably that Carolina's second line is the best line on the ice between the two teams.
Yeah, it's been impressive. There's no doubt, and that line has been solid for the Carolina Hurricanes as well. And Martinook, Staal, Stankoven, great chemistry. Rod Brindamore's found something with them, and it goes right to what I'm looking at here as far as props for this game are concerned. I'm interested in Jordan Martinook again. Goal prop, point prop. Do you know he's gotten a point, believe it or not, now 4 straight games? Jordan Martinook back to the regular season, 2 in the playoffs. He scored keep hitting the goal prop for Jordan Martinook because he is the kind of guy that can give you that big goal. He scored the big shorthanded goal in game 2 to give the Hurricanes the lead. You can get up to plus 800 in some spots, Jordan Martinook to score a goal tonight. It's worth a bet. Absolutely. And the point prop, because he's actually collected a point. He's gotten an assist in some of these recent games. He scored in game 2. You can get plus 800 for him to score a goal, and he's on a 4-game point streak. And do you know what the price for him to get just a point is? Plus 200. It's worth a bet. It's a great price. So you might as well take a shot with it. Robert in the chat saying Jackson Blake. Yeah, I've been impressed with his game.
He's played well.
And there's value with Jackson Blake, son, of course, of Jason Blake, longtime NHLer, playing with Aho and Jarvis. That's a good. Stankoven's worth a shot. I like his energy that he's brought with Carolina. And you can see he is a guy that, because he got into those playoff games with Dallas last year, it benefited Logan Stankoven for sure. And he's playing solid. If I were to look at anyone for New Jersey for scoring a goal, I'm always going to be interested in Steph Nason, former team Carolina, and he's going to get big body in front of the net. They probably need a goal like that. But the guy that's been shooting the puck a lot, and I think he feels he needs to, with Hughes out, and we're struggling offensively, it's Jesper Bratt. He's actually gone over his shot prop in both games in this series, over 2.5. And I think he feels I need to shoot the puck more. I know I'm a playmaker and I can be a facilitator, and he is a great one, but I feel he needs to shoot the puck more. He feels probably that he needs to shoot the puck more with this team struggling to score right now. So Jesper Bratt over shots on goal, and maybe look at a Jesper Bratt goal prop for the New Jersey Devils tonight. He'd be the guy I'd be most confident in, maybe finding the back of the net for them here in this game tonight. And, of course, Markstrom and Anderson, once again, your starting goaltenders. All right, final game for this Friday night, and it is Edmonton hosting Los Angeles. Kings are up 2 games. That's wrong on the graphic there. It's not Edmonton leading the series there. My bad. Dummy moment. There we go.
Sure.
LA leading the series 2-0. Edmonton minus 145 home favorites. 6 being the total here in this game. First bet I made, and I mentioned this on the BetCast last night, didn't even think twice about it. And sure, is LA going to want to tighten things up? And is Edmonton especially going to want to tighten things up? Yes. And I know that they're making the goalie change now. No more Skinner for the Edmonton Oilers. Instead, it's going to be Calvin Pickard getting his first start of the series tonight. And I knew that was going to happen. They probably have to give him a chance. They got to try to shake up the momentum, if you will. No question. And I know all that could lead to a lower scoring game. But when this total opened, it was 5.5. I took, over 5.5 at -130 at DraftKings. I can't get over the fact that we've seen 20 playoff games between the Kings and the Oilers head-to-head since 2022. This will be their 21st over these last 4 years. 16-4 to the over 5.5 in those 20 games. That's 80% win percentage to over 5.5. So when that was 5.5, I just bet it immediately. Now the total is 6 pretty much everywhere. And I'm even seeing DraftKings has moved it to 6.5. So now that it's gone that high, don't like it as much, but I ain't betting an under until I see one, with these two teams. Edmonton has to show me with this horrific blue line, and it's horrific right now. Nurse has been okay, not great. Bouchard's been a travesty defensively. Say what you will about how great he is shooting the puck, and he's lost that a little bit in this series. But defensively, he's been a nightmare. I'm not convinced Jake Wallman is healthy 100%. And I think he's just gutting through it right now. And then don't even get me started with Klingberg. I'm shocked he's even in the lineup. John Klingberg has not been a plus defender in his own zone in years. You have to go all the way back to his early time in Dallas, the last time that guy had a good season defensively. It's not good, in my opinion. And now they're asking him. I'm looking at him playing a top pairing with Bouchard tonight. And I'm thinking, is Chris Knobloch mental right now? What is he doing here? Bouchard's had a disaster of a series defensively. Klingberg hasn't been a good defensive player in years. He's good for lugging the puck, doing that stuff. Not defending, not being physical, not taking people out in front of the net. That's not Klingberg's game. It never has been John Klingberg's game. And Bouchard's struggling defensively. And that's going to be your top pair tonight against an LA team firing on all cylinders. Wow. Talk about risks here if you're Chris Knobloch with that kind of a defensive pairing setup. He's shifting his lines around. He's got McDavid and Draisaitl with Hyman, reuniting that line that he hopes is going to, again, why did I like the over in game 2? Because I think Chris Knobloch is putting an offensive lineup out there more than a defensive one. Klingberg on a top pair is a defensive liability. Bouchard's not playing great defensively. You're loading up your top line. McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman. These are all moves that, to me, on paper, make Edmonton's lineup better offensively and worse defensively. Where all of a sudden now you got Podkolzin, Nugent Hopkins, Arvidsson's going to be your second line. Evander Kane, Adam Henrique, Connor Brown, third line. And it looks like Trent Frederick, Matthias Janmark, Corey Perry, the fourth line. And then when you look at that blue line, again, after Klingberg and Bouchard, you got Nurse. Emberson's actually the one guy I'd cut some slack. I think he's been solid. I think he's actually been okay. And then Kulak was very good last year in the run to the Stanley Cup final. I don't think he's played as well this year, and I don't think Wallman's healthy. I think he's gutting through whatever injury he had entering this series. So there's still real big concerns for me. Pickard can only probably be better than Skinner because Skinner had a tough first 2 games, and Pickard did have a good win-loss record for the Oilers down the stretch. So that's something they can hang their hat on. And Pickard's played well for them at times. But when you've got this blue line having the crisis of confidence as a unit that they're having, and with the way the Kings are just cleaning Edmonton's clock with their power play right now, isn't it rich, guys, that for years Edmonton's destroyed LA with their power play in the first round of these playoff matchups head-to-head, and now the worm is turning. The pendulum is swung. LA is now crushing Edmonton with their power play through the first 2 games of this series, getting a taste of their own medicine right now, this Edmonton Oilers team. So I like the over 5.5, really liked it at that number. It's 16-4 to the over 5.5 in the 20 playoff games between these two teams since 2022. 6.5, I still like it, but not as much. Sidewise, I can assure you I'm not taking Edmonton. And I know LA's not been the same team on the road in the regular season as they were at home. So that's the concern. And Oilers are going to have this mammoth rally the troops effort, down 2-0. Got to have it at Rogers Place tonight for Game 3. But I can't lay a price with a team that's defensively wretched like Edmonton is right now and what I've seen. Can't do it. If you take Edmonton, I would say take the team total over 3.5 and lay less of a price with that than take -145 on the money line. Because if Edmonton wins this game, I don't see how it's a win where they don't score at least. They're going to have to, in my opinion, because of the issues defensively, because of the horrific penalty kill. And they cannot stop this Kings power play. It's either your penalty kill gets better, boys, or you stop taking penalties. Make a choice. What's it going to be? We'll find out if Edmonton figures it out tonight. Alex, what do you think here? Game 3, LA Edmonton.
I've been hearing people from going back to even late last night on the Batcast to this morning. I get up and grab my phone. I get on Twitter. I see and read all kinds of things, and everybody's putting their hair up, putting their knee pads on for Connor McDavid and the Oilers. Say, well, this team can't go down 3-0. He's the best player in the world. He's got to rally the troops. They've been down time and time again. Yeah, they've been down time and time again. They've been the same shithole fucking Oilers for the last 10 years, one way or another. We've seen this collapse.
Down 0-3 to Florida in the final last year.
Yeah, but my point is, we've seen a collapse. We've seen a collapse from them every playoffs. Even in that one, they were able to withstand it and get to a Game 7, but they were down 3-0 in the fucking Stanley Cup final. This Oilers team just can't put it together. Okay, they simply cannot. We saw them get to the apex top of the mountain and then they fall off. And now here we are. It's funny the way that everybody loves to say, "Oh, we got a whole new look and team and feel in the Toronto Maple Leafs," but everybody's still buying into the fact that this Oilers team is going to do something. They aren't. They aren't. They simply are not going to do anything in this series. LA is just too better of a team on every intangible you can cross off right now. LA is dominating them. They're a faster team. They're a stronger team. They're a more physical team. They're just mentally, they look like a more mentally sound team overall.
Special teams, D, goaltender. Yeah.
Goaltender, better goaltender. Yeah. You're rolling into a make or break situation with Calvert Pickard again. Yes, it worked last year, making that change in the middle of the conference finals, but can you strike lightning twice? I highly doubt it. There's a reason why Calvin Pickard has been a backup with like 8 teams for the last 10 years. Give me LA first period money line. Give me LA full game money line. Give me LA combined with the over 4.5 at BetMGM. I also added onto my portfolio LA to sweep plus 330 and LA 4-1 should Edmonton find a way to win Game 4 plus 250.
Bringing the hammer down on oil country right here is Alex B. Smith
on
the Ice Guys show. Enough's enough. There you go. Hey, look, Toronto took a 3-0 lead, so who's to say that LA can't go? The only thing that I'm hesitant on is, again, the road woes of the Kings. But sometimes you have to say, hey, that's regular season now. And yes, the Kings weren't in close to the same team at Crypto.com Arena in LA as they were at home in the regular season. Doesn't mean they can't go into the playoffs and win on the road, and we're going to find that out tonight. But very interesting how it plays out. And can they do something with Adrian Kempe? Kempe is just killing this Oilers team. I mean, my gosh. Byfield is. There's a lot of players for LA that are really hurting the Edmonton Oilers right now. Dana, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel for the Oilers, or do you agree with Alex? There isn't one.
First of all, if I knew we could swear on this, my answers would be a lot different. I had no idea. I needed to know that first and foremost. So I appreciate that. But
unfiltered.
Listen, here's the thing. Again, I mean, it is kind of cut and paste from the other series. The Oilers have to get the lead in this. They have to. If they don't, you might start saying, okay, this is going to be over, because this is going to be the peak performance you would think you would get out of the Edmonton Oilers. And I wrestled last night. I thought about, well, Draisaitl and McDavid on that top line. I mean, they have to have a 6-point night, 7-point night maybe for them to get the W in Game 3. I think that's what we're looking at. But listen, I'm looking at Calvin Pickard, a guy who spent 3 days with the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't know if you kept the Golden Knights in your list of teams that he was with, but I mean, can you split them up at this point? And I don't think he can. Now, if you get a goal lead or a 2-goal lead in this game, then I think he can start playing around with the lineups a little bit. But the key component of this whole thing is, are you going to get anything out of Evander Kane? Do we sit there and say, hey, look, I think now we can count on you getting stronger, because, of course, he's been out.
He took a moronic penalty early in game 2. He did something.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you get some secondary scoring out of a guy historically who, is a scorer, although he's, not exactly, make the greatest decisions on the ice in addition to that. But, I mean, maybe they get some depth scoring tonight, and they really need to carry the puck. They have to carry the puck. They have to win the Corsi, because we are not going to lean on Calvin Pickard to have a 35 save effort tonight and save the Edmonton Oilers season. But the one thing too, Alex, that you were talking about, it is a great analogy when you take Toronto and Edmonton and kind of put them in the same box, because a lot of superstars, but not much as far as, and I don't want to use the word again, but I feel like it's such a great word when we get to this point in the postseason, or when we get to the postseason. Not a lot of guts, not a lot of playoff guts, not a lot of I will do things that I wouldn't probably normally do in the regular season. I'll go to the difficult areas. I'll go down low in the low slot area, and I will battle down there. I mean, these are all things that you need those depth guys to be able to do that. And I just don't think either Toronto or Edmonton over the, what are we talking about now? Almost 10 years now, we've been talking about both of those teams. We've expected them to hoist the cup, and they just, Toronto can't even get out of the first round of the postseason. I will tell you this, guys. The answer to your question is don't take any penalties. They can't afford to take any penalties tonight. They must move the puck quickly. They must be at least even speed-wise. I'm looking at this game, and I know it's going to go against the grain here. If you like Edmonton, I'm going to lay the 1.5 with Edmonton, and I'm going to take the $1.80. And it's not because I think Edmonton's going to dominate this game. I think it's going to be a 1-goal game at the end, and then we'll get the cheapie at the end. So I think $1.80 to me is a price. It's not my favorite selection, but if I'm forced to make one on this is going to be the Oilers' best effort. And as you noted, Alex, I mean, they do have the best player in the world, and he's going to have to be tonight. Now, does that mean Edmonton's going to win this series? I don't think so, because I think from a physicality standpoint, I think they'll get worn down as they do in most years. And how many years now defensively we've been talking about their lack of goaltending, their lack of ability to protect their goaltenders, and now they're going to Calvin Pickard. I mean, it's kind of a joke, but the difference is, and as you pointed out, Ian, away from crypto, the Kings are a completely different team, and I need to see them play better on the road before I can start, leaning on them and putting my money behind them. So if I can't put my money behind them, then Edmonton would be the play, and I'm certainly looking at that $1.80 as something that is at least something that I can't go around or ignore. I don't want them. I can't take them straight up, but $1.80 is a really good price. And again, if you told me, going back to that Winnipeg St. Louis series, if you told me that St. Louis would have dominated that game against Winnipeg, we probably wouldn't have said that. I don't know if you guys said that, but this could be a completely different game from what we've seen in the first two.
I'm just seeing the Kempe numbers, because we've been all talking about Kempe here and how he's been not only producing offensively, but shooting the puck a ton against Edmonton. I think it's something along the lines of like 32 of 36 games against the Edmonton Oilers, where he's gone over at least 2.5 shots on goal against Edmonton. 32 of 36. It's crazy strong how he rips the puck on goal. Just repeatedly against Edmonton. And we saw it the other night. So Kempe, we've talked, like I said, I've even opened my eyes to that. Even I'm betting that tonight. Kempe, and we've mentioned Slavkovsky earlier with the Montreal game. And I've really scaled back on shots on goal props, but these are real strong trends as far as two of them tonight. So Kempe, Slavkovsky for their respective teams here in this game in their games. But yes, Kempe, shots on goal for LA, playing with Kopitar. Kuzmenko, just to get a point. You know, you can do goal assist with Kuzmenko or him to get a point. The Fogue Daddy back in Edmonton. I think he, hasn't come through yet on the score sheet for the, at least on the goal scoring sheet yet for the LA Kings in this series. But now back in Edmonton for the first time in this particular playoff series. This could be the night that it happens for Warren Fogle. He does have 5 straight games over his shots prop as well for the LA Kings, and he did get a point, an assist in that Game 2 win for the Los Angeles Kings. So Warren Fogle, though, for a goal prop, I would still look in that direction. He looks like he'll be with Deneau and Moore once again tonight. Byfield, Laferriere, even as far as shots, it might be worth a shot. For Edmonton, it's always, unfortunately, Hyman is back with Draisaitl and McDavid, and you're not getting the price that you'd be getting if a Corey Perry was on that line or a Connor Brown was on that line. You'd get a better price with those players to score a goal alongside McDavid and Draisaitl than you will with Hyman, but certainly he's going to be in the position to probably put the puck in the net. I think Vasily Podkolzin's one of the better value players tonight for Edmonton, simply because he goes from the fourth line to all of a sudden playing with Nugent Hopkins and Arvidsson for the Edmonton Oilers on the second line. Now, we've done this with Podkolzin, this song and dance before, where he goes up the lineup and you still don't get anything from him. But like I said, you're at least getting value with him to get on the board because he's going to the second line. It's always something we talk about with player props. Look at the line changes. If someone's going up the lineup, they're often not priced like it. And you can get 1,000 plus 1,000, 10-1 for Podkolzin to score a goal tonight for Edmonton up on the second line. So perfect example of it. Haven't adjusted the price from him going from the fourth line to the second line. So that's probably a prop worth looking at as well. Great stuff. Outstanding to have Dana Lane back with us. Shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button if you haven't done so already. We will probably by the end of this weekend, probably late in the weekend, closer to Monday, but we will have the announcement of next week's Betcast date. We will have another Stanley Cup playoff live Betcast exclusive to Patreon members next week, but date to be determined once we know the schedule and which series may be left standing. Because if you think about it, the Battle of Ontario could be over this weekend with one more Toronto win, and Carolina, New Jersey. I keep thinking that could end up being a sweep. You never know. So there could be a couple series coming to an end. I never thought I'd say Tampa, Florida could end in a sweep, but Florida is 2 wins away from doing that. So we will have a better indication of what the Betcast date will be later during the weekend. So to be determined with that, but still make sure you sign up now at patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month to make sure that you're there for that next Patreon exclusive live Betcast. Plus you get all the access to bonus content, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props, and a whole lot more. Just $10 per month. Check it out and sign up if you haven't already. Patreon.com/iceguys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Got 4 days left to save 20% off of all items in the store. Visit the homepage, click on the redeem button, add all your items to the cart, and 20% will be taken out at checkout. We've got all kinds of new designs and looks in the store right now, so take advantage, especially while it's getting warm and nice out. So it's 20% off for the next 4 days at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, we got our bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up to wrap up the show in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsor.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page.
Only
Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Hey, Ian, I got to tell you about this app I've been using lately called Kalshi. Kalshi.com. Did you know it's the only place where you can trade on March Madness in all 50 U.S. states?
I have heard about this, actually. Kalshi is the first and only legal prediction market that lets you trade on real-world events with the look and feel of stock trading, whether it's who will win elections, who will win the Grammy or Oscar awards, or what the price of Bitcoin will hit this year. You can bet you trade on just about anything on Kalshi.
With over 1 million users across all 50 states and over $1 billion worth of trades, Kalshi is an absolute game changer. And with March Madness coming to a close, baseball about to get in the full swing, playoffs on the horizon in hockey and basketball, now's the time to sign up and trade with Kalshi today.
Sign up at kalshi.com/iceguys, and the first 500 traders to join and trade 100 contracts, you will get a free $10 credit added to your account. So don't miss out on all the action. Join Kalshi today at kalshi.com/iceguys. That's kalshi.com/iceguys. Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc., 20% off with promo code IceGuys. And make sure you check out the great trading platform at kalshi.com/iceguys. All right, bargain bin special of the night for this Friday. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special. We got to pick it up a little bit with the bargain bin special.
Yeah.
Me especially. That's, regular season was pretty good, but playoffs, like I said, it's trickier in the playoffs. Tighter checking, sometimes less goals, but we'll keep on plugging away with the bargain bin special of the night. Alex, what do you think here? Bargain bin special for tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. We got this game in Edmonton taking on LA. It's a big one, and I like LA in this spot. They're going to continue to roll here, and I think Trevor Moore gets on the board. You can get him at FanDuel, anytime goal scorer plus 400. It's going to be Trevor Moore to get a goal here for the LA Kings. That would be my Friday bargain bin special.
There you go. Trevor Moore, LA Kings, for Alex B. Smith, bargain bin special of the night. Dana, this is a segment where plus 300 or better prop is what this is, the bargain.
Yes, thank you for telling me what this is all about.
I forgot. I totally forgot to mention it before the show. Well, pick an under-the-radar player that you think might find the back of the net tonight, and it's most likely going to be a price good enough for bargain bin special. So who under the radar?
Like a top player.
Yeah.
A top player that'll go over 1.5 points or score 2 goals, something of that nature. Well, that could work also.
Okay, well, I'll just go back to what I said. Oh, yeah, we want a top player. I don't even know what the number is. I give you guys a lot of credit. I have this avalanche of sports every day. My life consists of wondering if the Cubs and the Phillies are ever going to get going today. But I give you a lot of credit for getting into these props, because I stay away from it because I would absolutely go nuts, and I try to be as efficient as I can on side and totals. But I don't know. Let's go with. I just got through talking about that Connor McDavid has to be the best player in the world for them to cash that ticket tonight. So I don't know what the number is on him, or what the prop is on him, but I would definitely lean on him to have a terrific night.
How about 2 goals? That's definitely bargain bin worthy. Connor McDavid, 2 or more goals. You'll definitely get that at a bargain bin price.
10-1 at FanDuel.
Yep.
Yeah, what's the plus money on that?
10-1 plus 1,000.
Yep. Okay, there we go.
Connor McDavid in a spot where, let's be honest, he does have to be Connor McDavid tonight. There's no question about it for the Edmonton Oilers. So there you go, over 1.5 goals, plus 1,000. Connor McDavid for Dana Lane with bargain bin special of the night. I'm going with Martin Nuke. I'm with Robert. That's the one I had picked. I almost took it in game 2. I've bet him in every game in this series to score a goal. Game 1, he didn't. Game 2, he did, but I did not use him as bargain bin special in game 2. I will tonight. Plus 750 at BetMGM is the best price out there. He's on a 4-game point streak as well, entering tonight. Of course, that point was a goal in game 2. So great value. Jordan Martinook, Carolina, plus 750 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Friday card. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
It's been a long time coming in this series and this rivalry over the last 4 years, but LA is finally getting the better of Edmonton. I believe it continues tonight as they go from Hollywood to up in Northwest Canada. Give me the LA Kings plus 125 on the money line. That's my Friday best bet.
There you go. LA Kings to take a commanding 3-0 series lead over the Edmonton Oilers. LA money line best bet for Alex B. Smith. Dana, what do you got for best bet?
I feel like we were getting along so well until the words Edmonton Oilers puck line came out of my mouth, and everybody just said, well, that will be the last time you're on this show. I'm going to go. Go back to pace of play between Montreal and Washington. I think the pace is going to definitely be an over pace, and I think they were going to have 2 goaltenders and we'll have to stand on their head to keep it under that 5.5. I think 5.5 is a reasonable number. I think that Montreal, if they get behind, especially if they're behind by a couple goals, will start going to the physical route, which will create power play opportunities, which will add to that total even more. I like Washington and Montreal over 5.5. And in this segment, I know what the best bet is, so we'll go with that.
There you go. Washington, Montreal, over 5.5, minus 120. Best price out there with that for Dana Lane and his best bet for this Friday. All right, and mine, I'm just checking around here because I want to see if there is. This is best bet to me. It would have been Montreal first period or Montreal first period. Let's go with 2 because I don't know if everyone has this book or can get this number, and I don't like just going with this. We'll give you 2 best bets tonight, 2. We're going to go with Montreal first period puck line. Okay, we're going to go for the gusto here with Montreal. Not only that they're going to score, and I like that bet, but I'm going to go that they can lead after the first period tonight, that they can have a lead. And it's plus 200 for Montreal, minus a half first period puck line, plus 200. So I'm going to take that. The Habs to have a lead after the first period against Washington as one best bet, and the other at points bet. You can still get a 5.5 with juice for the Kings Oilers over, and we'll go with that too. LA Edmonton over 5.5, minus 140. So there you go. 2 best bets. Montreal first period puck line, minus a half, plus 200. LA Edmonton over 5.5, minus 140 for my best bets here for this Friday card. Dana, it's been a pleasure and a blast having you back on the show, and we will absolutely do this again before the playoffs.
Who's putting up 5.5s? I mean, jeez. It's really, I don't mean to extend the show anymore, but it really just goes back to the days. I remember when the Golden Knights first came into Vegas, and our good friend Brian Blessing and I, and we were up at one of the books here talking to a sportsbook director, and Blessing would come in and just pound these team props every single night, or these individual props every night. And I think it was like a forward versus defenseman. And every single night, these books would put up these ridiculous numbers on defensemen, and he would cash every night. And they just didn't have a clue about it. And sometimes when I look at these NHL numbers, I'm like, have you watched this at all? Like, yeah let's put up a 5.5. We'll throw a 40 on it, but we'll put up 5.5.
What about the 5s?
16 of 20 over 5.5s with LA Edmonton. 16 of 20. We'll throw up another 5.5. Yep. Yeah.
As I said, what about the 5s we've been seeing in the St. Louis Winnipeg game?
Yes.
Each one of them just completely flown over. So it is shocking to see some of these prices sometimes.
I mean, if the idea is to get equal action, would a 6 not make more sense? I mean, are they not top heavy on a 5.5?
Yes.
Or are they saying we're making a choice here? I mean, books do that.
Yeah.
They say we do prefer a side because our pros think one way, and we're going to go with them. So they do take a stance on these games. I mean, it's not always about equal action, but if it is, a 6 to me seemed like, if you want to put juice one way or the other, that's fine. But a 6 to me seemed like a more reasonable number.
Yeah, no doubt. It's very interesting because we've seen 2 totals of 5 in the Winnipeg-St. Louis series. They both went over the total, game 1, game 3. And then there was a Vancouver-St. Louis game down the stretch where the total closed at 5. It was a key game where they were battling for the playoffs, Canucks and Blues, and it went over the total as well.
Yep.
So it's almost like when you see a 5, and you understand why it is, because they assume it's going to be a defensive, tight checking battle, and it doesn't end up going that way more often than not when we see these totals of 5. Very interesting, yeah.
Isn't it interesting that, in other sports, when we see a point spread that looks a little odd, we kind of say to ourselves, or we used to at least, oh, they must know something we don't know. When it comes to the NHL, I just say, you guys don't know anything. That's why you're not making a proper adjustment. This sportsbook director we were talking to, and you guys all know him, he was like, somebody, our good friend Steve Carper writes for the RJ here, said, you guys ought to adjust that. And Brian almost put his fist into his chest, and they did from that point on. But they didn't have a clue that they were
taking his edge away. That's why he was pissed. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he was.
Absolutely.
Brian Blessing, before we go, we miss that guy so much. We all do. Like I said, he was great friend to everyone. I remember Gabe and Cam, friends of mine, and they were great friends of Brian as well. Morency and Cam Stewart. He's missed. And I hope one day the Buffalo Sabres finally become not a shit show for a change, have success, so that Brian can smile from upstairs on what he's seeing. It still may be a long time. Yeah.
Brian would tell you that the Sabres Dallas series is still going.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Oh man, no goal. No goal. Could you imagine 2 words just live in the just infamy of Buffalo sports torture? No goal for the Sabres, wide right for the Bills. 2 words with each of those teams. Yeah. And it's that's Buffalo sports torture. And unfortunately, very just an unbearable amount of pain that they've had to endure over the decades, no doubt. Dana, this has been fun. We'll do it again for sure over the rest of the playoffs. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith and Dana Lane, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back tomorrow on Saturday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.